Breaking news. Patriots Nation. There's a reason the AFC East is suddenly the hottest division to watch, and it's not just because of big names or flashy signings. No, this one hits deeper. It's got stakes, history, and maybe, just maybe, the potential to flip an entire rivalry on its head. Because while the league sleeps on one team's next move, another might be ready to pull off a play that no one saw coming. Let's just say, if this rumor turns into reality, the landscape's about to shift. And fast. Imagine this. The New York Jets, one of the Patriots' most bitter AFC East rivals, are seriously considering trading away their top-tier 23-year-old running back, Breece Hall. Yes, you heard that right. One of the most explosive playmakers in their lineup, and ESPN insiders are openly floating the idea of him landing in a New England Patriots uniform. Sounds insane, right? But let's unpack this, because what started off as a wild rumor is starting to look more and more like something that could actually happen. And Patriots Nation, you're going to want to hear every bit of this, because if Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf are half as bold in the trade market as they've been in free agency, this could be the move that redefines our backfield, and maybe even our season. So here's what's fueling this bombshell. The Jets are facing contract extensions for three major stars: Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, and Breece Hall. Wilson and Gardner are both essentially no-brainers, offensive and defensive rookies of the year. They have to lock those two down. But then you've got Breece Hall kind of dangling in no man's land. No formal extension talk, no long-term commitment, just vibes. And that's probably why Hall jumped on social media recently with a cryptic post, just a monkey smoking a cigarette. Sounds dumb, but it's loud. That post sparked a storm, with many seeing it as Breece hinting he knows the end of his time in New York might be creeping up. When athletes post cryptic memes mid-contract season, it's usually not because everything's all sunshine and roses. And here's where things heat up. ESPN analysts and Jets beat writer Zach Rosenblatt are starting to think there's real merit to the idea of trading Hall right now. Why? Because he's at his peak market value, only 23 years old, 3 years removed from ACL surgery, and already established as one of the league's best pass-catching backs. He's not just a bruiser, he's a dynamic threat with the ball in his hands who can score from anywhere on the field. But here's the kicker. Despite his potential, his usage in New York has been inconsistent, with the Jets splitting his carries with Braylon Allen, a back they clearly like and who doesn't need an extension yet. Breece is stuck in a timeshare that's slowly devaluing his numbers. This kind of misuse is eerily similar to what we saw with Saquon Barkley in New York before he found new life and a Super Bowl run in Philly. So what does this have to do with the Patriots? A lot, because as questionable as our offense was last year, the running back room is anything but stable. Rhamondre Stevenson struggled. Bad. 7 fumbles. Little burst. Spent more time trying to dodge defenders in the backfield than pushing the ball forward. Yes, the O-line was a disaster, but at some point, you have to question whether Stevenson can carry the load for 17 games. Antonio Gibson, not RB1 material, which brings us to Mike Vrabel. He's shown all offseason that he's not here to play it safe. He wants to add to the running back room, and the team is already eyeing a new back in the draft. But why not leap at a rare opportunity to grab a proven weapon like Hall instead? Let's get into the trade specifics that are starting to float around. Some mock proposals are suggesting the Patriots give up a third-round pick acquired via Atlanta and a fifth-rounder from the Joe Milton deal. Here's the catch. Those are both picks we acquired through previous trades. We'd still retain another third and fifth-round pick in the draft. Essentially, this would be a double win. We keep our original draft strategy intact and get Breece Hall, a player who could immediately elevate our offense, especially for a rookie QB like Drake Maye. You give a young quarterback a dependable backfield weapon who can run and catch? That's how you fast-track development. But we can't ignore the big elephant in the room. Would the Jets ever trade a star player to an in-division rival like the Patriots? It's rare, and for good reason. You don't want to spend the next 5 years watching your former franchise player torch you twice a season. It would be a bitter pill for New York to swallow. But don't forget, we've seen teams do it before. Just ask Joe Schoen, who moved Saquon to the Eagles and openly admitted he was going to lose sleep if that deal backfired. Sometimes desperation or cap realities push teams to do the unthinkable.
Now here's why this might not be as far-fetched as it sounds. The Patriots have already made aggressive moves this offseason. Robert Spillane, Harold Landry, Stephon Diggs, Morgan Moses. The message is clear. This team is in go mode. If Vrabel senses the Jets are genuinely listening to offers, you better believe New England is going to be on the phone. And yeah, it might take those 2 picks, or even a bit more, but for a player of Breece Hall's caliber, you make that call. Here's what I want to know from you guys. Should the Patriots roll the dice and trade for Breece Hall? Are you okay giving up those picks to potentially lock in a star for the next 5 years? Or do you want to give Rhamondre one more shot behind a hopefully improved O-line? Because let's be real, if we don't take action now, and the Jets trade Hall to another AFC contender like Dallas or Pittsburgh, we're going to be kicking ourselves every time we see his highlights pop up on Red Zone. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Type T4 trade, P4 pass. And if you take that proposed deal, third rounder via Atlanta and the fifth from the Milton trade, type A for accept, D for decline. That's just the first part of this potential blockbuster. I'll be back with more details on what this trade could mean long-term for New England and how it could shift the AFC East race entirely. But for now, what do you think, Patriots Nation? Would you take the gamble? Because here's where it gets even more intriguing. If the Patriots do pull the trigger on this trade, the domino effect could reshape not just the running back room, but the entire offensive identity under Mike Vrabel's new leadership. Let's say Breece Hall lands in Foxborough. First off, you immediately inject youth, explosiveness, and versatility into a position group that sorely lacked consistency last season. Hall isn't just a between-the-tackles guy. He's a dual-threat weapon who can line up in the backfield, motion to the slot, and create mismatches against linebackers and safeties. That kind of flexibility is exactly what this team needs as it builds around a young quarterback like Jerod Mayo. You give me a weapon like Hall and it changes the entire defensive approach teams can take against New England. Suddenly, the safeties have to respect the screen. Linebackers have to keep their eyes on the backfield, and that opens up play action, deep routes, and the kind of balanced attack this offense has been missing since, well, let's not say it, but you know when. And here's another piece that's not being talked about enough. Breece Hall's ACL surgery. Yes, it's a thing. Yes, he's 3 years removed. But here's the reality. Modern medicine and training have drastically changed the trajectory for backs recovering from major injuries. Hall's production has not cratered. Despite a drop in rushing numbers, he's still a top 15 back in yardage. And that's while splitting carries. The fact that he's become a premier pass-catching back post-surgery, that's not a red flag. That's a green light. It shows he's adapted, evolved, and added tools to his arsenal. That's the kind of player you bet on, especially at 23. Now think about the synergy with the rest of the offense. Stevenson becomes a complementary power back. Antonio Gibson takes on a niche, maybe third down or return role. And suddenly, you've got one of the deepest, most versatile backfields in the AFC. Let's not forget, Mike Vrabel has roots in a system that thrived with physical, dual-threat runners. And you think about the offenses he studied under: power run, play-action heavy, ball-controlled football that sets up big strikes. Breece Hall fits that vision better than anyone currently in the Patriots' RB room. Period. But let's zoom out even further. What does this trade signal to the rest of the league? That New England is done rebuilding quietly. No more slow rebuilds. No more waiting for next season. If the Patriots send a third and fifth for Breece Hall, it says loud and clear, they're playing to compete now, not in 2026.